want to move on to another issue, though. Belton Road, more today, again today. This guy's an ex-Labor candidate. Now, he held a senior post in an organisation that promoted China's controversial Belton Road plan. Well, now he chairs the Andrews government in Victoria, their Multicultural Business Council. Yesterday, of course, we had the Premier's own staff in the media having backed a Chinese government claim that this virus was created in the US. I spoke with Victorian opposition leader Michael O'Brien about all of this, and the staffer in particular, last night.
One of these people who is associated with the United Front works for Daniel Andrews. Now, I asked Daniel Andrews today, has this person been vetted by security agencies? I mean, the Premier's office has got confidential material lying around, lots of access to things which other governments, other nations would love to get their hands on. I asked the question whether there'd been any vetting of this staff member, and clearly the answer was no.
I'll tell you, vetting of staff there, Chris Smith. When I worked for the Prime Minister, my vetting process was 5-hour-long plus separate interviews and paperwork that was nearly 400 pages long. Literally, every address I'd ever lived in, every country I'd ever travelled to. And what we've got someone in the Premier's office here in Victoria who's out there running Chinese propaganda on social media. I can't believe it.
That to the newspapers and those who are on his tail over this. He's on a hiding to nothing. There are more sort of connections to the Communist Party from these advisors and former advisors than you'd find in a Beijing bathhouse. Like, seriously. and the circumstances of our relationship with China have changed. I don't care what kind of defence he uses as to why this is good for the state of Victoria. Our relationship with China since the pandemic has changed so much. We don't have faith in them, and they have abused us publicly. We shouldn't trust any deal that they offer, especially to a state government. This is not state government jurisdiction. This is for the Foreign Affairs Minister.
Well, what about that law that was passed recently about foreign agents at a federal level? Peta Credlin, Tony Abbott goes along, gives a speech at a public forum because it's run by a conservative organisation outside Australia, out of the US. He gets investigated, God help us, former Prime Minister. Yet here we've got this staffer in a Premier's office right now, and they're doing a debt deal with China, which no one's allowed to know about, which is highly secret, which will have Victorian taxpayers beholden to Beijing. And what that doesn't warrant an investigation, I would hope they're being investigated.
Peter, this comes back to the brazen and cavalier way in which the Victorian government is thumbing its nose at the national interest. Daniel Andrews was elected after half of his cabinet conducted themselves in a way which was appalling in the red shirt scandal. I mean, basically, they rorted the system so that they could apply to have electorate officers do their dirty work when it came to the election. Now, they were basically exonerated from that. And what that has created is a culture within the Victorian government of cockiness and arrogance that we've only seen probably rivalled here in Queensland by Jackie Trad. They think they can get away with anything. They're not being held to account. And here's an example where the national interest is being thrown in the rubbish bin by a state premier who is way, way out of control.
Gentlemen, I have to leave it there. Peta Credlin, Chris Smith, thanks very much for your time.